Some people read their horoscopes. Others go to Facebook and see what their 500 friends are up to. I look at the obituaries every morning, and I'm inclined to read the death notice of younger people, their educational background, their religious affiliation, their burial plans. There was a sad obituary the other day of a young man who was in his 30s. He lost his battle with addiction. I thought of the reading from the prophet Isaiah today and what it must have been like for family members and friends who tried to reach out to the young man and were rejected. You may or may not have had that experience, but I certainly have seen that with my sister and some of her boys. We heard it said today by Hosea that the more that God called, the farther people went from him. God literally taught his people how to walk. What an image of God, special to those among you who recall their own child's first step, shaky and ready to catch them if they were about to fall. Hosea tried to remind people of God's compassion and love for them and how he took them into his arms, stooped to feed them, and yet they did not know it was God doing this for them. They did not realize it was God who was seeking to heal them and make them whole. Sometimes, like addicts, we may be prone to run away and distance ourselves from true love and the words of the prophet Isaiah. And in the words of prophet Isaiah, sacrifice and burn incense to other gods, whatever they may be. But God is still stooping down to feed us. But we do not seem to know that he can be our healer. The psalmist today implored God to look down and cure this vine, cure us. Jesus in the gospel today selected a group to go out and be healers, to bring comfort to people, to tell people that God is among us and wants to help us walk through life upright and erect and not be dragged. To tell people that God's arms are open, waiting to extend a compassionate embrace to all, ready to stoop down and, yes, feed us with bread from heaven. Jesus recruited people to convey this message, and he empowered them with extraordinary gifts. They were influencers. It's a word that I'm hearing just relatively recent. Influences. Now, if someone told me after Mass this morning that I celebrated, but Father, that was interesting. However, not all influences are positive. I know that. But they still can get out a message to thousands of people. How might we be God's influencers today? To let people know that God is dying to let us know of his love and concern for each one of us.